For your second essay, you will be looking at writing an evaluation essay in your group. Each person in the group will pick one article to which they will respond. So basically what you're doing is you're creating a conversation amongst your group. Your own essay will be the particular angle you've chosen to respond to the conversation from. Everyone in your group will respond to an argument in the same way the authors we've read have responded to Slaughter and Poland. So really this is beyond agreeing or disagreeing. In your essay, you do not want to simply agree or disagree with the article the group has chosen. You want to extend the argument in some way. The following slides are common ways professional writers use to extend the argument. You can support or condemn an idea. You can condemn an idea, a practice, or a policy. You could argue that some new research misses the mark, that the conventional logic is perfectly sound, or you could argue that a new perspective is worth attention. So think about Poland. How does he extend the argument about nutrition? What assumptions and policies does he question? He questions the very idea of how we break down nutrients by saying, conventional wisdom says, don't eat too much fat, don't eat too much sugar, eat more protein. And he says that when we look at food that way, we create the wrong idea about food. We start trying to eat nutrients, and then we start ignoring the fact that we're eating something basically unhealthy because we think it is healthy because fiber's been added to it. So basically, he's condemning an idea, which then turned into a policy. And he's saying, no, that we're missing the mark on how we should approach our eating, and that when we look at specific nutrients, and to try to eat those, we generally eat too much more of other things that are not good for us. Fixing. It's not quite what we thought. These debates we read often have some sort of shared belief or context. So in your paper, you may want to amend some prior shared thinking. Maybe you're not calling for a radically different approach, but you simply want to point out how new information or changes in a situation can lead to amendments in previous views about a subject. So for example, scientists are now starting to look at how deforestation has as much of an impact on climate change as fossil fuels do. So they're not saying that fossil fuels don't impact the environment. They're simply saying, hey, look, maybe there's another part to this puzzle that we haven't looked at yet. So yes, it is fossil fuels, but it's also deforestation. So we could evaluate an argument by warning that there's danger ahead. You may evaluate an argument by pointing out what danger as possible solution leaves out. Many times, arguments propose what we should do about something, but you can look at what that solution may lead to. Are there hidden costs in some of the solutions presented, for example, by Slaughter? So even if we agree that the government should create an infrastructure to help women go back to work, what is the economic cost to that? Is it too high? We could argue that her solution creates other problems down the road. Same thing with Friedman. He argues that we should use the processing of food, adding those chemical ingredients so that we can create food that's healthier for us, but that also tastes good. Are there problems to that? And I think you could definitely make a case for that. Proposing. You could argue that there's a better way of doing it. Many of the articles we've read have been claims of policy. You may evaluate an author's proposal. Will the proposal work? Why or why not? So again, Friedman advocates for a change in the processing of foods, and many of you criticized his proposal. On what basis? Transforming. Let's escape the status quo. Is there a usual way of thinking? Is there a flaw in that usual way of thinking? Disciplines and ideologies have a certain shared set of beliefs, and topics written about by those in the field will show that. Perhaps there needs to be some sort of change in the warrants of that field. A lot of times we can call those paradigm shifts. The paradigm is the model we generally look to, and if we want to shift the paradigm, we want to shift the model. We want to change that shared set of assumptions. So in the articles we've read, Slaughter's view of feminism as belonging to the Slaughter has been criticized because her view of feminism belongs to the 1980s. They evaluate her argument by saying that she needs to update her way of thinking about women and gender roles and the different rules that go along with that. Dorment also argues that a paradigm shift needs to take place. What did he argue? So Dorment argued that we are calling for equality in the home and for men to do more. And he says that basically these things already exist. Men do more. And there are women in the boardroom. And that we need to understand we are not 30 years ago. And maybe more needs to be done. But a lot of those things have taken place already. So these are not the only ways that you can extend an argument. You're welcome to craft your own response to the article you've chosen. Keep in mind that your paper should evaluate the article your group has chosen, extend the argument in some way, so you're responding to and creating basically an argument of your own from a small piece of that person that you're reading while you're evaluating their initial argument. Each group member must have their own claim and angle from which he or she evaluates the argument. Please let me know if you have any questions.